that for over a year it was obvious that Starmer would become our Prime Minister. What we've seen over the course of the last 2 weeks is who Keir Starmer really is. He absolutely is the globalist. He absolutely is the person that bows down to this concept of international law in the face of courts that are either horrifically outdated or, frankly, wholly illegitimate. I suppose to Keir Starmer, racism only comes from people without university degrees. He probably doesn't think it happens between other races. That for over a year, it was obvious that Starmer would become our Prime Minister. You would have thought there was a plan. You would have thought there was a passion for what they would do in government, as opposed to achieving the position of being in government. And yet, as he stood outside 10 Downing Street, mid-morning on July the 5th, to give his acceptance and victory speech, in the 9 minutes for which he spoke, he referred to his notes 158 times. Once every 2 seconds, the new Prime Minister had to refer to his notes, scripted to the nth degree, clearly without any great feeling, meaning or passion for the job that was ahead. And now we see that lack of any real political thought with the daily veering off left and right with speeches and statements that he makes. Terrified of what reform is doing to the Labour vote, he tries to ape us in policy. The problem is, when he does, nobody actually believes him, given his own record. And of course, the more that he does that, the more that he opens up the splits on the left, where we see the Greens, who now would tax, I think, anybody in the country on a good income virtually out of existence. But their support, they are picking up much of that left-wing support, and their support at 10-11% in the national polls is rock solid. We then, of course, have the pro-Gaza vote, which, as a direct result of government policy from both parties, sees many of our inner cities now moving towards sectarian politics. What we've seen over the course of the last 2 weeks is who Keir Starmer really is. He absolutely is the globalist. He absolutely is the person that bows down to this concept of international law in the face of courts that are either horrifically outdated or, frankly, wholly illegitimate. And yet that's what he believes in. The EU reset, which starts to align us back with EU law, not just that exists today, but that comes in the future, that brings the European Court of Justice back into our lives, that is a total sellout and something that he promised he wouldn't do. I suppose to Keir Starmer, racism only comes from people without university degrees. He probably doesn't think it happens between other races. The World Health Organization, of course, he signed us up to the pandemic treaty. Everything he's done in the last 2 weeks has been against our national interest. Everything he's done in the last 2 weeks will be undone by us in government, regardless of what the consequences are. He doesn't understand what national sovereignty is. He's never, ever, ever got over the Brexit result, and he's frankly doing his bit incrementally to reverse it. Now,